The galaxy had more than 2,000 species, and humanity was considered one of the weakest. For 80 years, humans had been part of the Galactic Federation, and for 80 years, they had been laughed at, mocked, treated like children who had somehow stumbled into a room full of adults. Admiral Park Jun-ho stood at the window of his private office on Earth's moon base. He was 62 years old, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen more than most people could imagine. Behind him, screens showed the positions of Earth's official fleet, 200 old warships that the galaxy believed was all humanity possessed. Jun-ho smiled quietly. The galaxy believed many things about humans. Almost none of them were true. On the other side of the solar system, Commander Lee Yuna sat in a small, dark room inside the Federation Embassy on Station Nexus 7. She was 38, sharp-minded, and very good at her job. Her job was to listen, to watch, to learn what the aliens were planning before they did it. Today, she had learned something that made her blood run cold. Her fingers moved across the console, decoding the intercepted transmission for the third time. She hoped she was wrong. She was not wrong. The message was clear. The Valoran Empire planned to invade Earth in 6 months. They believed it would be easy. They believed humans had only 200 outdated ships and primitive weapons. They believed Earth would fall in less than a week. Yuna saved the transmission and sent it through secure channels to Admiral Jun-ho. Then she sat back in her chair and let out a slow breath. They have no idea, she whispered to herself. They have no idea what they're about to do. 3 days later, Ambassador Kang Do-hyun stood before the Galactic Federation Council. The chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some had scales, some had fur, some had bodies that humans could not even properly describe. All of them looked down at the human ambassador with expressions ranging from boredom to amusement. Do-hyun was 50 years old, a career diplomat who had spent his life learning to keep his face calm even when he wanted to scream. Today, he needed all of that training. We have evidence, he said, his voice steady, that the Valoran Empire is planning an unprovoked military attack on Earth. We demand that the Council take action to prevent this violation of Federation law. Silence. Then laughter. It started with the Valoran representative, a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. His name was High Commander Draal, and he did not bother to hide his contempt. The humans are afraid, Draal said, his voice echoing through the chamber. They know they are weak. They know their little planet cannot defend itself. So they come here with lies, hoping we will protect them. More laughter from the other representatives. Do-hyun stood still. He did not react. He had expected this. This council has reviewed human military capability, said High Chancellor Thera, the leader of the Federation. She was ancient, her species one of the oldest in the galaxy. Your fleet consists of 200 vessels, most of which are more than 50 years old. Your weapons technology is adequate, but nothing more. Perhaps, Do-hyun said quietly, you should not believe everything you see. This caused a moment of confusion. Representatives looked at each other. What did the human mean? Draal laughed again. Are you threatening us, Ambassador? With what? Your primitive ships? Your weak soldiers? He leaned forward, his forearms spreading wide. Earth will belong to the Valoran Empire soon enough, and there is nothing you can do about it. Do-hyun looked at Draal for a long moment. Then he looked around the chamber at all the faces, watching him with amusement and scorn. I came here to give you a chance, he said. I came here hoping that reason would prevail. I see that it will not. He turned and walked toward the exit. At the door, he paused and looked back. When this is over, he said, remember that we tried to warn you. Remember that we gave you the choice. Then he was gone. The representatives laughed and returned to their other business. The human had been entertaining, they agreed, but ultimately meaningless. They would remember this moment later. They would remember it with horror. Back on Earth's moon base, Admiral Jun-ho received Do-hyun's report. The Council had refused to act. The Valoran invasion would proceed as planned. Jun-ho was not surprised. He had never expected the Federation to help. He had only wanted it on record that humanity had tried the peaceful option first. He pressed a button on his desk. A moment later, A holographic display appeared, showing the true map of human military assets. The galaxy believed Earth had 200 ships. The truth was different. 8,000 warships were hidden in the asteroid fields around the solar system, disguised as rocks and debris. Each one was 3 times larger than anything the Federation had ever built. Each one carried weapons that humanity had developed in secret over 80 years. But that was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, hidden in 200 different star systems, more ships waited. Sleeper fleets, placed there over decades by human crews who had lived and died keeping the secret. No alien had ever found them. No alien had ever suspected. This was the sleeping giant protocol. 80 years ago, when humanity first made contact with alien life, the United Earth Council had made a decision. They looked at the galaxy and saw empires and wars and species that conquered others without mercy. They saw that the strong took what they wanted, and the weak suffered, and they decided that humanity would never be weak. But they also decided that humanity would never show its strength until absolutely necessary. They would smile. They would seem harmless. They would let the galaxy underestimate them, and if anyone ever tried to destroy Earth, they would learn the truth. Admiral Junho looked at the map for a long time. Then he contacted the United Earth Council. "They're coming," he said. 6 months. The council members appeared on his screen, their faces serious. "Your orders, Admiral," the president said, "are as follows. If they enter our space with hostile intent, you have full authorization." Junho nodded slowly. "The giant wakes," he said. The channel closed. Junho sat alone in the darkness, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valoran Empire was preparing for what they believed would be an easy victory. They were laughing about the weak humans. They were planning how they would divide up Earth's resources. They had no idea that they had just made the worst mistake in the history of their species. In 6 months, the galaxy would learn the truth about humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months passed like a slow heartbeat. Earth prepared in silence. On the outer edge of the solar system, Captain Baek Minji stood on the bridge of Station Delta 9. To anyone watching from space, it looked like an ordinary mining facility. Old, rusted, unimportant. That was exactly what it was supposed to look like. Underneath the fake exterior, Delta 9 was one of humanity's most advanced early warning stations. Its sensors could detect a ship entering the solar system from 3 light-years away. And today, those sensors were screaming. 15,000 ships, her second officer reported, his voice tight with tension. Valoran battle fleet. They'll reach the outer planets in 6 hours. Minji was 35 years old. Calm under pressure, and absolutely unafraid. She had trained her entire life for this moment. Every officer in the hidden fleet had. "Send the signal," she said. "Use the old code." Her officer nodded and transmitted a simple message to Earth. "The wolves are at the door." Across the solar system, that message triggered a cascade of responses. Officers woke from sleep. Ships powered up systems that had been dormant for decades. 8,000 crews prepared for war. Admiral Park Junho received the message on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, humanity's largest warship. It was 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that the galaxy had never seen, and until this moment, it had been hidden inside an asteroid that appeared completely natural. "Status of all fleets," Junho commanded. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral. 8,000 vessels, full combat capability." Junho nodded. "Hold position. Let them come deeper into the system." The plan was simple. Let the Valorans commit. Let them believe they were winning. And then, show them the truth. High Commander Draal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Valoran Conquest. Around him, his fleet spread across space like a swarm of metal insects. 15,000 warships, the largest invasion force the Valoran Empire had ever assembled. He was in an excellent mood. "Human resistance?" he asked. "Minimal, Commander. Long-range scans show approximately 180 ships gathering near the 3rd planet. Old models, primitive weapons. They are no threat." Draal smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Broadcast on all frequencies. I want the humans to hear this." A moment later, his voice echoed across the solar system, reaching every human ship and station. "People of Earth, This is High Commander Dral of the Valoran Empire. Your government has refused to surrender peacefully. This was a mistake. You now have 24 hours to submit to Valoran rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your fleets, bombard your cities, and take your planet by force. You have no hope of victory. Accept your fate with dignity. The transmission ended. Dral sat back in his chair, satisfied. On the eternal dawn, Admiral Junho listened to the message with a blank expression. When it finished, he turned to his communications officer. Respond, he said. Open channel to the Valoran flagship. The channel opened. Dral's face appeared on the screen, arrogant and amused. Admiral Junho, yes? I remember your name from the intelligence reports. The commander of Earth's pathetic little fleet. Have you called to surrender? Junho's face remained calm. I have called to give you one final warning. Turn back now. Leave our space. If you proceed, you will be destroyed. Dral laughed. The officers around him laughed too. You threaten me, with your 200 ancient ships, against my 15,000? Dral leaned forward, his eyes cold. I will enjoy watching your world burn, Admiral. You do not understand, Junho said quietly. You never did. What is there to understand? You are weak. We are strong. That is the only truth that matters. Junho shook his head slowly. You see 200 ships because that is what we wanted you to see. For 80 years, we have hidden our true strength. We hoped we would never need to reveal it. You have given us no choice. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Dral's face. What are you talking about? Junho pressed a button on his command chair. Throughout the asteroid belt, 8,000 warships dropped their disguises. Rocks that had floated peacefully for decades suddenly revealed themselves as massive vessels. Engines powered up. Weapons systems came online. Shields activated with a hum that seemed to shake space itself. On the Valoran flagship, alarms began to scream. Commander, an officer shouted. We're detecting new contacts. Many contacts. How many? Dral demanded, standing up from his chair. The officer's voice trembled. 8,000 ships, Commander. Each one larger than our flagship. Energy readings are. The sensors can't process them. They're too powerful. Dral stared at his screen in disbelief. Where moments ago there had been empty space and harmless asteroids, now there was a wall of human warships. Each one was enormous. Each one radiated power that made his own fleet look like children's toys. Impossible, he whispered. This is impossible. Admiral Junho's face was still on the communication screen, calm as stone. I told you to turn back, Junho said. I gave you a chance. You laughed at us. You threatened our world. You called us weak. His eyes hardened. We are not weak, Commander. We have never been weak. We simply chose not to show you what we really are. Captain Baek Minji's voice came through the command channel. Admiral, all fleets are in position, awaiting your order. Junho looked at Dral's pale face for a long moment. This is your last chance, Commander. Order your fleet to withdraw. Accept that you made a terrible mistake. I will allow you to leave in peace. Dral's pride fought with his fear. He looked at the readings on his screens. The human ships were impossibly powerful. Their weapon systems were completely unknown. His tactical officers were telling him that engaging would be suicide, but he was a Valoran. He had never retreated from a battle in his life. His empire was watching. His reputation was at stake. You are bluffing, he said, his voice shaking slightly. You must be bluffing. No species could hide this kind of power. It's not possible, Junho sighed, and there was genuine sadness in the sound. I was hoping you would be wiser, he said. I was hoping I would not have to do this. He straightened in his chair. All ships. This is Admiral Junho. The enemy has refused to withdraw. Weapons free. Engage at will. Minji's voice echoed across the fleet. You were warned. Then the human ships opened fire. The first wave of missiles launched from the human fleet. They did not look like normal missiles. They glowed with strange energy, moving faster than anything Dral had ever seen. They struck the front line of Valoran ships. And those ships simply vanished, not exploded, not damaged, vanished. swallowed by tiny points of darkness that appeared where the missiles hit miniature black holes that consumed everything they touched. In the first 5 minutes, 300 Valoran ships ceased to exist. Draw watched in horror. His officers were screaming, his fleet was dying, and the humans were just getting started. The battle was not a battle. It was a lesson. Lieutenant Yoon Hana sat in the cockpit of her fighter, call sign Ghost 7. Around her, 200 human fighters moved in perfect formation. They were small compared to the massive warships, but they were faster than anything the Velorans could track. Ghost Squadron, her wing commander said through the comm. You are cleared to engage. Show them what we can do. Hana smiled. She was 27 years old and had trained in secret for 8 years. She had flown simulations against every known alien ship design. She had memorized their weaknesses, their blind spots, their limitations. Today, she would use everything she had learned. Ghost 7, engaging, she said, and pushed her fighter forward. The neural link system connected her mind directly to her ship. She did not need to press buttons or pull controls. She thought, and the ship responded. Her reaction time was 4 times faster than any alien pilot could achieve. To the Velorans, she moved like a ghost appearing, destroying, vanishing before they could even aim. In her first pass through the enemy formation, she destroyed 18 ships. Her squadron destroyed 200 more. On the bridge of the Veloran conquest, High Commander Draal watched his fleet die. His screens showed chaos, human ships appearing and disappearing, weapons that should not exist, technology that made no sense. They're using phase shift technology. One of his officers screamed. Our weapons pass right through them. Draal stared in disbelief. Phase shift, the ability to make a ship temporarily intangible, was supposed to be theoretical. Impossible, yet he watched as a human warship flickered like a ghost, allowing 300 Valoran missiles to pass harmlessly through its hull. Then it became solid again and fired back, destroying 5 ships with a single blast. How? Draal whispered. How did they develop this? The answer was simple, though he would never understand it. Humanity had discovered phase shift technology 40 years ago. They had kept it secret, along with everything else. They had smiled at alien visitors, shown them old ships with primitive weapons, and hidden the truth in places the galaxy would never think to look. On the eternal dawn, Admiral Junho watched the battle unfold with cold satisfaction. His fleet was performing exactly as planned. Valoran ships were being destroyed by the hundreds. Dr. Shin, he said to the scientist standing beside him. What is our status? Dr. Shin Taehyun was the chief weapons designer for the human fleet. He was 60 years old, thin, with glasses that seemed too large for his face. He looked like a kind grandfather. He had designed weapons that could end civilizations. Singularity missiles are performing at optimal efficiency, Shin reported. Phase shift systems are holding across all vessels. Enemy losses are now at 3,000 ships. And the Prometheus array? Shin hesitated. Ready, Admiral. But I must note, using it will reveal capabilities we have never shown anyone. The entire galaxy will know what we can do. Junho nodded slowly. The entire galaxy is already watching. Let them see. Let them understand. Far from the battle, on a neutral observation station, Federation observer Nek sat frozen before his recording equipment. He was a small alien with gray skin and large eyes, sent by the Galactic Council to document what they had expected to be a quick Veloran victory. What he was documenting instead was the death of everything the galaxy believed about humanity. His hands trembled as he recorded his observations. Human technology is, I cannot describe it. Their ships move in ways that should be impossible. Their weapons are beyond anything in Federation records. They are destroying the Veloran fleet with ease. Complete ease. This is not a battle. This is, he paused, searching for the right word. This is extermination, he finished quietly. On the eternal dawn, Admiral Junho gave the order. Dr. Shin. Activate the Prometheus array. Shin pressed a sequence of commands into his console. Deep within the flagship, a machine that had taken 20 years to build, hummed to life. It sent out a pulse invisible, undetectable, that spread across the battlefield. Nothing happened for 3 seconds. Then, across the Valoran fleet, ships began to explode from the inside. The Prometheus array targeted enemy reactors. It identified their energy signatures and created a feedback loop that could not be stopped. One by one, Valoran power cores overloaded, turning each ship into a bomb. 4,000 Valoran vessels exploded within 60 seconds. The screaming on the Valoran command channels was terrible to hear. Commanders begged for explanations. Engineers reported impossible readings. Crews prayed to gods who could not save them. High Commander Draal stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by burning consoles and dying officers. His mighty fleet, 15,000 ships, had been reduced to less than 2,000 in just 3 hours. He opened a channel to Admiral Junho. His voice was no longer arrogant. It was broken. "What are you?" he asked. "What kind of monsters are you?" Junho's face appeared on screen, calm as ever. "We are humans," he said simply. "We are what you forced us to become. We came to the galaxy wanting only peace. We were mocked, threatened, treated like animals, and through it all, we smiled and stayed silent, because we hoped, truly hoped, that we would never have to show you the truth. Please," Draal whispered. It was not a word he had ever used before. "Please stop. We surrender. We surrender. Completely." Junho studied him for a long moment. "Your surrender is accepted, Commander. Order all remaining ships to power down weapons and await boarding parties. If any ship attempts to flee or fight, we will destroy it." Draal nodded weakly and gave the order. Across the battlefield, the surviving Valoran ships went dark. The battle was over. Of 15,000 Valoran warships, only 89 survived. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. Lieutenant Yun Hana flew her fighter through the debris field that had once been an invasion force. Pieces of Valoran ships floated everywhere, metal, glass, and things she tried not to look at too closely. "Ghost, 7 to command," she reported. "Sector is clear. No hostile activity. Acknowledged, Ghost 7. Return to the Eternal Dawn. Outstanding work today." Hana turned her fighter toward the flagship. Behind her, the remains of the Valoran Empire's greatest fleet drifted in the cold darkness of space. On the observation station, Nex finished his recording and sent it to the Galactic Council with a single message: everything we believed about humanity was wrong. They were never weak. They were hiding. For 80 years, they let us believe they were nothing. And now the galaxy must face the truth. We have been living beside a sleeping giant. And we have just seen it wake. He sat back in his chair, his whole body shaking. The galaxy would never be the same. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every species in the Federation knew what had happened. The mighty Valoran Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in known space, had sent 15,000 warships to conquer Earth. 89 ships returned. The recordings from Observer Nex played on every screen, every station, every world. Billions of beings watched human ships appear from nothing. Watched weapons that swallowed matter itself. Watched the impossible become real. And in council chambers and throne rooms across 1,000 star systems, leaders who had once laughed at humanity sat in terrified silence. On the Federation capital world, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was filled to capacity, representatives from hundreds of species, all of them waiting for answers. High Chancellor Thera stood at the central podium. She was ancient, wise, and for the first time in her long life, she looked afraid. "This session is called to order," she said, but her voice lacked its usual authority. "We must address the situation regarding humanity and the recent battle." Whispers filled the chamber. No one knew what to say. The species that had mocked humans for decades suddenly could not find words. A holographic screen activated, showing a woman's face. She had gray hair, kind eyes, and a calm expression that somehow made her more frightening than any warrior. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," she said, "I am President OG1 of United Earth. I address you today not as a conqueror, but as a neighbor who wishes to speak honestly." The chamber fell absolutely silent. "For 80 years, President O continued, humanity has been part of your Federation. We came to you with open hands, hoping to learn, to trade, to grow alongside you. Instead, we were treated with contempt. We were called primitive. We were threatened. 47 different species made plans to invade or enslave our world. Yes, we know about all of them. We have documentation. Panic rippled through the chamber. Representatives looked at each other with new suspicion. We never wanted this. The president said. We never wanted to be feared. We wanted to be respected, to be treated as equals. But you gave us no choice. The Valoran Empire came to destroy us, and we defended ourselves. She paused, letting her words sink in. What you saw in that battle, she continued, was 12% of our true military capability. The gasps that followed were audible across the entire chamber. 12%? Chancellor Thera repeated, her voice barely a whisper. 12%. President O confirmed. For 80 years, we have hidden our true strength. We have sleeper fleets positioned in 200 star systems across the galaxy, ships that have waited in silence for decades, ready to activate if Earth was ever truly threatened. The implications were staggering. Humanity could have conquered the galaxy at any time. They could have taken revenge on every species that had insulted them, every leader who had threatened them. They had chosen not to. Why? Chancellor Thera asked. If you had this power, why hide it? President O's expression softened. Because power means nothing if you use it carelessly. We learned this lesson long ago. Through wars that nearly destroyed our own world, we know what it means to be conquerors. We know the price of empire, and we decided, as a species, that we would not walk that path. In the corner of the chamber, a young alien journalist named Kale was recording everything. He was small, barely adult by his species standards, but he understood that he was witnessing history. The humans could have killed us all, he whispered into his recorder. They could have enslaved the galaxy. Instead, they hid. They waited. They hoped they would never have to fight. What does that say about them? What does that say about us? Commander Lee Yuna walked into the chamber through a side entrance, flanked by 2 human guards. She carried a data pad in her hands. Chancellor Thera, she said. With your permission, I would like to present evidence. Thera nodded weakly. Yuna activated her data pad, and hundreds of files appeared on the main screen. Documents, communications, plans. Every threat ever made against Earth, documented in perfect detail. The Valoran Empire planned our invasion 18 years ago, Yuna explained. The Draxian Confederacy discussed attacking Earth 12 years ago. The merchant princes of Nexus considered enslaving human populations for labor. The list continues. 47 species, 47 sets of plans to harm humanity. Representatives looked at the screen, then looked away in shame. Many of them saw their own species' names on the list. We knew about all of it, Yuna said. We watched. We listened. We prepared. And we hoped, truly hoped, that none of you would ever actually attack, because we did not want to show you what we could do. One representative finally found the courage to speak. What now? What do you want from us? President O answered from the screen. We want peace. That is what we have always wanted. We do not seek to conquer. We do not seek to punish. The Valoran Empire attacked us, and we defended ourselves. That is all. But you could punish us, the representative said. You could destroy us all. Yes, President O admitted. We could, but we choose not to. Because that is who we are. That is who we have always been. We are not monsters. We are simply a species that refuses to be victims. Chancellor Thera stepped down from her podium and walked toward the center of the chamber, closer to the screen showing President O. I owe you an apology, she said, her voice heavy with regret. All of us do. We dismissed you. We threatened you. We treated you as less than what you were. Yes, President O said quietly. You did. Can you forgive us? The president was silent for a long moment. Then she smiled a small, sad smile. Forgiveness takes time, Chancellor. Trust takes longer. But we are willing to try. We are willing to build something new with you. A real partnership, based on mutual respect, rather than fear. Journalist Kyle finished his recording and sat back. his mind racing. He already knew what he would title his story. Later that night, his report was published across the galaxy. Billions read his words. Today, the galaxy learned a truth that will change everything. Humanity was never weak. They were never primitive. They were hiding not out of fear, but out of hope. They hoped we would be better. They hoped we would treat them fairly. We failed them, and yet, when they finally revealed their power, they did not use it for conquest. They did not seek revenge. They asked only for peace. The question now is simple. Do we deserve the mercy they have shown us? Can we become the galaxy they hoped we would be? The sleeping giant has awakened. Now it waits to see what we will do. Across 1,000 worlds, beings read those words and wondered the same thing. What would happen next? 6 months had passed since the battle that changed everything. The Valoran Empire was not destroyed. That was the first thing the galaxy noticed. Despite having the power to reduce Valoran worlds to ash, humanity did nothing of the sort. They demanded only one thing: a formal end to hostilities and a promise that no Valoran ship would ever enter human space with weapons armed again. The Valorans agreed immediately. They had no choice. But more than that, they were confused. Every empire they had ever known would have taken revenge. Every powerful species would have demanded territory, resources, slaves. Humanity wanted only peace. High Commander Drell sat in a human holding facility on the moon. His cell was comfortable, better than he deserved, he often thought. He had food, water, entertainment screens, and regular visits from human doctors who checked on his health. One morning, Admiral Park Junho came to see him. Drell stood up when the Admiral entered. 6 months ago, he would have looked at this human with contempt. Now he could barely meet his eyes. "You're being released," Junho said. "Your transport to Valoran space leaves tomorrow." Drell stared at him. "Released? Just like that?" "Just like that. You are no longer considered a threat." The former commander shook his head slowly. "I don't understand you. Any of you. I came to conquer your world. I threatened to destroy your cities, enslave your people. And you let me live. You feed me. You treat me with kindness." Junho sat down across from him. "Does that confuse you?" "It terrifies me," Drell admitted. "A species that shows mercy to its enemies, that is more frightening than any weapon. I cannot predict you. I cannot understand you. That makes you dangerous in ways I never imagined." Junho nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But consider this. Maybe that unpredictability is exactly why humanity survived its own history. We have fought terrible wars against each other. We have come close to destroying our own world more than once. But we learned that hatred creates only more hatred. We learned that revenge is a poison that kills the one who drinks it." He leaned forward. "You asked me during the battle what kind of monsters we are. The answer is, we are the kind of monsters who chose to stop being monsters. That is the hardest thing any species can do, and we are still trying, every day, to be better than our worst impulses." Drell was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "When I return to my people," he said, "I will tell them what you have told me. I do not know if they will believe me, but I will try." Junho extended his hand, a human gesture of respect. Drell hesitated, then took it. "That is all we ask," Junho said. "That you try." Across the galaxy, things were changing. The Galactic Federation had been restructured. Humanity was offered the position of supreme military authority, control over all Federation defense forces. President Ojiwan refused. "We will not be your masters," she told the council. "We will be your partners. We will accept a seat on the Security Council. Nothing more." The decision shocked many species. Power was being offered freely, and humans were turning it down. It made no sense to civilizations built on conquest and domination. But slowly, understanding began to spread. Humanity was proving, through actions rather than words, that they meant what they said. They wanted peace. They wanted cooperation. They wanted to build something better than the galaxy had ever known. Ambassador Kang Do-hyun worked tirelessly in those months, negotiating new treaties, establishing trade agreements, creating frameworks for cooperation. He was no longer laughed at in council chambers. When he spoke, Everyone listened. "We have been given a second chance," he often said. "All of us. Humanity and the Federation alike. Let us not waste it." One day, Captain Bake Minji received new orders. She was to command the first human peacekeeping fleet, a squadron of 20 ships assigned to help protect smaller species from aggression. Their first mission, a distant sector where a young species called the Thali were being threatened by raiders. The Thali had no military, no defenses. They were exactly the kind of species that the old galaxy would have ignored or exploited. Humanity would not ignore them. Minji stood on the bridge of her flagship as it prepared to depart. The crew was experienced, professional, and proud to be part of this mission. "Course laid in, Captain," her navigator reported. "Ready to jump on your command." Minji looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a species was afraid and alone, waiting for help that they never expected to come. "Take us out," she ordered. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope to a corner of the galaxy that had never known it. On Earth, Commander Lee Yuna stood at a window in the United Earth headquarters, watching the fleet depart as distant points of light. Ambassador Kang Do-hyun joined her. "They're really going," he said. "Our first peacekeeping mission. Who would have thought?" Yuna smiled. 80 years ago, we entered the galaxy as newcomers. Everyone thought we were weak. Everyone thought we would be conquered or forgotten. And now, we're protecting others. We're using our strength to help, not to dominate. Maybe that's what we were always meant to do." Do-hyun nodded thoughtfully. "Do you think the galaxy truly understands us yet?" Yuna's smile faded slightly. "No, I don't think they do. They see our power, and they fear it. They see our mercy, and they're confused by it. They don't understand how we can be both strong and kind. Will they ever understand?" Yuna turned to look at him. Maybe in time. But honestly, perhaps it's better if they don't fully understand. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them look at humanity and see something they cannot explain. She looked back at the stars. Because as long as they're unsure what we might do, they'll think twice before harming anyone. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's how we keep the peace, not through fear of destruction, but through the mystery of mercy. Do-hyun considered her words. Then he laughed softly. "You know what they're calling us now? Across the galaxy? In every language? What? The sleeping giants. They tell stories about us to their children. Don't cause trouble. Don't start wars. Don't harm the innocent. Because the humans are watching, and you never know when they might wake up." Yuna laughed too. But there was something solemn in the sound. Far away, in a sector of space that had never known protection before, Captain Minji's fleet emerged from hyperspace. The Thali sent frantic, confused messages. Who were these powerful ships? What did they want? Minji opened a channel and spoke words that would echo through history. "People of Thali, we are humanity. We come in peace. We ask nothing of you. We are here because someone threatened you, and no one should face such threats alone. We are here because it is right. Tell us what you need, and we will help." The Thali did not answer for a long time. They could not believe what they were hearing. Then, slowly, gratefully, they told the humans what they needed, and the humans helped. Across the galaxy, the story spread. A species that could conquer everything had chosen to protect everyone instead. It made no sense. It defied all logic, but it was true. And in council chambers and war rooms, in whispered conversations and diplomatic meetings, a phrase became common, a warning and a promise, passed from species to species, generation to generation. Never wake the humans, not because they would destroy you, but because you would never understand what they might do instead.